Namaskar, this is Dada Rainjitananda. Welcome. This is the third class of our elementary philosophy course. Before we begin, let us concentrate. Let's just close the eyes for a moment. Concentrate our minds. Bring us here in this moment. Okay, let's start. This elementary philosophy course is based on the book Ananda Marga Elementary Philosophy, which was written by Sri Anandamurti, published in 1955, the first edition. Now, what is the specialty of this book? The specialty of this book is that it is written using a logic, and with that logic, to prove the existence of the Supreme Consciousness and the need to do spiritual practice to reach that Supreme Consciousness. If you notice from the first chapter, where it was talked about the Dharma of human beings, and then that human beings want something infinite, and what is infinite? The cosmic consciousness is infinite. So, in fact, human beings want to reach the cosmic consciousness. After that, starting from our action in the external world, how to prove that the consciousness is what really is working behind everything. And then we came to talk about what is the cosmic entity. So the cosmic entity having these two counterparts, the Purusha and the Prakriti, and how they work. What is the role of Purusha? What's the role of Prakriti? And in that aspect, I have a question that I received from one of you. The question is like this. In Baba's book, which is the elementary philosophy, it says that Prakriti is the principle of Purusha. And it is by his own principle that Purusha is influenced or qualified. Now, if Prakriti is not a separate entity and is a facet of Purusha, then Purusha allows himself to be influenced and qualified by Prakriti. Is that right? That's the first part. Okay, Purusha and Prakriti, they are together forming Brahma. So Brahma is formed by Purusha and Prakriti. Prakriti is the one modifying Purusha. Okay. It modifies Purusha because Purusha allows himself to be modified. We talked last time that in some parts of Brahma, Purusha is less dense, other parts is more dense. Where Purusha is less dense, it can be influenced by Prakriti. Where it is more dense, it cannot. So it depends on Purusha. If Prakriti will influence Purusha or not, it depends on Purusha. Prakriti is always trying to influence, but it will depend on Purusha if it manages to influence or not. If it does not, then that state of Brahma is Nirguna Brahma. If it does, then that state is Saguna Brahma. Okay. Next part of the question. Is it that Purusha has no power over his own principle and is influenced by Prakriti in whatever way Prakriti desires? Well, that part we answered already. Prakriti is always trying to modify Purusha, qualify Purusha, is constantly doing it. It depends on Purusha to allow or not allow. Next part of the question, who created Purusha? Purusha is non-causal. There is no cause for Purusha. It always exists. It has always existed. So who created Prakriti? Prakriti is also non-causal. It always existed. If you think maybe Purusha created Prakriti, but Purusha without Prakriti will have no will to do anything. It will just exist as Purusha. So it will not be able to create anything. And Prakriti cannot create itself. Basically, Prakriti has always been there, as well as Purusha. Both have no cause. If he is self-created, does he have no power or control over Prakriti, his own principle? Well, as I mentioned, the characteristics of Prakriti is to always try to influence Purusha, and Purusha will sometimes allow, sometimes not. Therefore, it's all depending on the will of Purusha, if he will be modified or not modified. Okay, let's go to today's presentation. Today, the title is, What is this world? The first question is, did the infinite number of unit consciousness exist before Brahma? In last presentation, we came to the point that there is unit consciousness. There are many unit consciousnesses. All of them together form Brahma. So Brahma is the multiplicity of many unit consciousnesses. That's why these questions, what came first? Brahma came first, or unit consciousness came first? Now just think about Atman, or the soul, the unit consciousness. It is also causeless. It was not created by neither Purusha nor Prakriti. It is Purusha. It always exists. It's non-causal. Human beings came into existence at a certain point. Imagine our planet. Before, there were primitive beings, but there were no humans. And then at a certain point, humans came. Humans have unit consciousness. But there was a point that was no human to hold that unit consciousness. But that unit consciousness still existed. It existed in the cosmic consciousness. Imagine the cosmic consciousness as a huge infinite ocean full of drops. Those drops are unit consciousness. When there is a human being, then that unit consciousness associated with that human being. When that human being is not there, that unit consciousness already exists in the cosmic consciousness. So therefore, every unit consciousness, before it gets expressed in a human being or any other being, it exists already in the cosmic consciousness. A point of philosophy, Brahma is causeless. There is no cause for Brahma. It has always been there. It has always existed. It's infinite. Today we are talking about the world, this universe we live. What is the cause of creation? Let's start from the sun. The earth, the planet we live in, we live here on the earth, and it came from the sun. Let's say in the beginning, the earth was a ball of fire, then it cooled down. Then, after some time, there was water, and then there was land. And then there were various beings, and then human beings. We can say that human beings came from earth. Earth came from sun. Sun, the dominating factor in sun, there are various gases, and those gases are part of the aerial factor. If we say sun came from aerial factor came from a more subtle factor, which is ethereal factor. If there is consciousness in humans, and humans came from earth, that came from sun, that came from aerial factor, came from ethereal factor, there must be also consciousness in ethereal factor. Ethereal factor is very subtle, but there is consciousness in ethereal factor. And consciousness is Brahma. We can say that consciousness is the cause of ethereal factor. Therefore, Brahma is the cause of ethereal factor. Everything came from Brahma. And we can say that everything is a metamorphosed Brahma. Everything is Saguna Brahma metamorphosed. Let's think, okay, earth is made, there is land, there is water, there are solid and liquid, everything on the earth. But everything came from Brahma. Everything is nothing but Brahma changed into a different form. And that is the work of Prakriti, to change consciousness in various forms, therefore creating the whole universe. Now, what is changed into the different forms? In Brahma, there is Purusha and Prakriti. Prakriti is the principle that modifies Purusha. So things are not made out of Prakriti. So if they are not made out of Prakriti, remains only Purusha. Things are made out of Purusha. Prakriti modifies Purusha, and it makes different things. Everything that we see around us. So now we are looking at a computer, we are seeing things around us, maybe we are sitting on a chair, on a sofa. Everything is made of what? If we think, for example, if the computer is made of plastic or metal, if we go deeper with microscopes, we can see, oh, computers are made of, let's say, atoms. Atoms are made of protons, electrons, and other particles. Is there a difference between the electrons and protons in the plastic or in the metal? Or basically it's the same thing? With that, we can think that every substance we see, we touch in the external world is made of the same thing. We may think, okay, it's made of atoms, but then we go deeper and deeper, we'll find out that everything is made of consciousness. Everything is made of Brahma. Brahma changes its form into everything we see. And who does that work of changing the form of Brahma is Prakriti. When we make a statement like Brahma is omnipresent, is that correct? Here, using the logic, we can say that this statement is not correct, because suppose you have an object. Think of your computer, and you say, Brahma is also in my computer. If you think Brahma is in the object, means there is the object and there is Brahma, and Brahma is in the object. That's one way of seeing. The other is everything is made of Brahma. So that computer that you see is made of Brahma. So that is Brahma. It's not that Brahma is there, but that is Brahma itself. Now, Prakriti is transforming Purusha. Purusha is the stuff that is being transformed by Prakriti and taking the different forms. So here the right statement is that everything is made of Brahma, everything is Brahma. Everything we see, everything we touch, everything we come in contact, even us, everything is Brahma. It's just Brahma in a different form, and that form is given by Prakriti. Here comes a philosophical point. Everything is made of Brahma, and Brahma, what is the raw material that Brahma used to create the universe? He created the universe out of his own self. That's an important point of this philosophy, that everything is made of Brahma. Continuing with the question, what is this world? Thinking that the universe has been created out of Purusha, we come to a certain contradiction. The contradiction here is that the universe, which is crude, was created out of Purusha, which is subtle. Universe, crude. Purusha, subtle. And the universe is created out of Purusha. If something crude was created out of Purusha, the seed of that something crude must exist in Purusha. You cannot create something if the seed is not there. Let's say you have milk, you want to take butter out of the milk. The butter already exists in the milk so that you can take it out. In the same way, you want to take out a crude universe out of Purusha. That seed of crudeness must exist in Purusha. But we have already determined before that Purusha is subtle. Prakriti also subtle. To solve this contradiction, the only way to solve it is to say that this universe was never a created reality. This universe is only a thought projection of Purusha. And if it's a thought projection, then it means it is not something crude, because it's only mental. Being mental is subtle. So just think. If we say the universe is crude, there is a contradiction, because Purusha is subtle and you cannot get that crude out of the subtle if the seed was not there. So there should be some crudeness in Purusha so that you can make the universe, and that's not. Therefore, The alternative is to say that the universe is not something crude, it's not something created, it's just a thought projection. The universe is a thought, is the thinking of Purusha. Purusha is thinking, and it comes the universe. This statement brings two questions. The first question is, how do we think that the universe is real? Means we touch the things, we are living it, it's real. Why does it happen? How do we experience it as real? That's the first question. Second question is, if it's just a thought projection, the moment that thought wave ends, the universe also should end, but it has been continuing. So how do we experience it as real? If I'm dreaming, for example, the dream is happening in my mind. As long as I'm dreaming, I'm thinking that that's real. If I'm dreaming that a tiger is about to attack me, my heart will accelerate. Fear will fill my mind. But I'm only dreaming. If I wake up in that moment, then I feel relieved. Oh, that was just a dream. But before I woke up, it was real to me. Whatever my chitta is taking the form, it looks real to my aham. The dream was in my chitta. My chitta was taking that form, and my aham was seeing it, and it was real. If the cosmic mind is thinking something, to me, unit mind, it seems real. The cosmic mind, the aham, wants to create that universe. The chitta is taking the shape of that universe. For the aham, what the aham sees in the chitta is the reality. Therefore, the aham is thinking that the universe is a reality. If something is a reality for the cosmic mind, that something is also reality to the unit mind. So the unit mind is also thinking that's a reality. And why it never ends? When will the thought wave end? The thought wave ends when Prakriti stops qualifying it. Now imagine there is a unit consciousness and Prakriti stops qualifying that unit consciousness. It means it will merge into the unqualified Nirguna Brahma. But then there is another unit consciousness and another one, an infinite unit consciousness. So they all don't cease at the same time to be qualified by Prakriti. Therefore, suppose Prakriti will cease to influence millions of unit consciousnesses. Infinite minus millions, still infinite, still continuing. A point of philosophy here, we experience as real the imagination of the cosmic mind. The cosmic mind is thinking. Imagine, suppose I'm the cosmic mind, and in this moment I'm closing my eyes and I'm thinking that there is a man, and this man is walking in a forest. I'm thinking that. For that man who is in my mind, the forest is a reality. The man thinks he's walking in the forest. For me, I know that all this I'm creating in my mind. And that's the cosmic mind is thinking us, and we are thinking that everything that's happening to us is real, but it's just an imagination of the cosmic mind. Being everything an imagination of the cosmic mind, everything is subtle. One quotation: under the influence of the qualifying principle of Prakriti, Bhuma Chaitanya, or cosmic consciousness, has manifested himself as an infinite number of unit consciousnesses in the creation. Moving ahead. Let's work on those two questions. The first question was that all the objects imagined by the cosmic consciousness appear real to us. Let's see that concept again. The cosmic mind has three parts: Mahatattva, Aham Tattva, and Chitta. The two parts that interest us here at this moment are the Aham Tattva, is the part that works, that wants to do something, and the Chitta, which is the part that takes the shape. In this case, it's taking the shape of the universe. So the cosmic mind, the Aham Tattva of the cosmic mind, wants to create the universe. The Chitta of the cosmic mind takes the shape of the universe. When the Chitta takes the shape of something, it appears true. Therefore, the universe now appears true to the cosmic mind. If it appears true to the cosmic mind, consequently, it appears true to the unit mind. Therefore, we think the universe is a reality. It appears true to us. It appears that it exists, but it only exists in the thought projection of the cosmic mind. Another point of philosophy: Brahma is the only truth. So Brahma is Satya. Satya means truth. And what about the universe? Is the universe Satya? No. Brahma is Satya. So is the universe false? There are some philosophies that say the universe is Maya, is an illusion. It doesn't really exist. But for us, it exists. It exists also for the Aham Tattva of Brahma. It is not Brahma, it's not Satya, but it's something that exists. So we can say that it is a relative truth. This is one characteristic of our philosophy, that the universe is not an illusion. The universe is a relative truth. We are living this relative truth, but we can know that the real truth is Brahma. And this is only a relative truth. That the cosmic mind is imagining this creation. But the cosmic mind is not the end of things. Brahma is the Satya. An important point of philosophy: the universe is a relative truth. The second question was, why the thought wave does not cease and therefore the universe ends? Prakriti qualifies Purusha. If Purusha gets free from the influence of Prakriti, it becomes unqualified, infinite, no change, no shape, no form. If that happens, then that's the end of the universe. Then there will be only Nirguna Brahma. There is consciousness. We human beings have consciousness. If we can advance to the point that Prakriti will not be able to qualify our unit consciousness, we'll move into the unqualified state. At that point, Prakriti cannot influence our consciousness. But there is another unit consciousness, and another one, and another one, infinite number of unit consciousnesses to be liberated. Therefore, this thought wave remains for infinite time. And that's why it never ends. The creation is a thought projection. Aham Tattva is Aham Tattva of Saguna Brahma is wanting to do something. Chitta is taking the shape according to the will of Aham Tattva. And this Chitta is gradually crudifying Purusha. It doesn't happen just instantly. It's gradually crudifying. Let us see how it works. Saguna Brahma, starting from Saguna Brahma. The mind of Saguna Brahma. Mind has three parts. There is the Buddhi Tattva or Mahatattva. Then there is the Aham Tattva. And there is the Chitta. So now the Aham Tattva wants to do something. And this Aham Tattva is working. Now Chitta is taking the shape of what Aham Tattva wants. First was consciousness, then came the Mahatattva, and that is the work of the Sattva Guna of Prakriti. Sattva Guna of Prakriti influencing consciousness creates Mahatattva, Buddhi Tattva. Raja Guna of Prakriti now is working on Buddhi Tattva or Mahatattva and creates Aham Tattva. Then Tamaguna working on Aham Tattva creates Chitta. Tamaguna continue working, creating the 5 fundamental factors: ether, air, luminous factor, liquid factor, solid factor. Prakriti, with its Tamaguna, is exerting more pressure, making Purusha more and more crude, reaching to the solid factor. From subtle to crude. That's the extroversial phase of creation. But we see that in the creation there are some other beings, living beings. But here the living beings still didn't come into being. So when solid factor gets created, and if the pressure of Prakriti continues, a certain part of this structure will, let's say, pulverize and become more subtle. And that more subtle is, it becomes mind. And that's when individual structures with mind get created. What's a special characteristic of the solid? Solid, you can divide it. If you have fire, suppose we have a stick on fire, and then we have a second stick on fire. When we put them together, what happens? The fire becomes only one. There is only one flame. You cannot separate the flame from one stick from the flame of the other one. The two flames become one. Water is the same thing. You put some water, you put some more water, it becomes one. But solid can be separated. You put one piece of solid and another one, the two together, and they are separate. You put two apples together, they remain separate. You put two glasses of apple juice together, they become one apple juice. But the two apples continue separated. So when the point comes where there is the solid factor, then is when unit structures can be created. And those unit beings are created. And that's the second phase. The introversial phase. There is solid factor. Solid factor can be divided into different beings. These different beings, each one having their own unit consciousness. Now you have one being with a unit consciousness, with a primitive mind. And then the mind gets more developed. The body also gets more developed. You may have plants. More developed, you may have animals, and more development, and then you get humans. At the point of human being can do sadhana, meditation, spiritual practice, and with that spiritual practice, return to Brahma. So human beings are moving closer and closer to Brahma through sadhana. Now, all this, where is everything happening? Everything is happening in the cosmic mind. It's the cosmic mind which is imagining everything. Now, how things happen in the cosmic mind? I got a question here. So what we do, our actions, are also imagination of the cosmic mind. Everything is happening within the cosmic mind. So everything is within this imagination of the cosmic mind. But the imagination of the cosmic mind follows certain system. Prakriti works in a certain system. So what we are doing, the rules of Prakriti apply. One of the rules is action and reaction. We do an action, then there will be a reaction. That's a rule that happens within this cosmic mind. If we put both phases together here, the extroversial phase from subtle to crude, and the introversial phase from crude to subtle, we get a cycle, and this cycle, we call it the Brahma chakra. Now this Brahma chakra, starting from Saguna Brahma, the cosmic mind with its three parts, Buddhi Tattva, Aham Tattva, Chitta, created. Then the five fundamental factors. then when solid factor is created, it can be separated into units. So only solid can be divided. But each unit will have its own unit consciousness. And it will start from very undeveloped beings having also unit consciousness, going to more advanced like plants, animals, humans, all having unit consciousnesses. Then humans can do sadhana to return. Now, in future chapters, we'll see that the goal is to return to Nirguna or we return to Saguna Brahma. We will talk about this also now. Saguna Brahma has the intention that every unit should reach liberation. Saguna Brahma, the multiplicity of unit consciousnesses, wants that each of its units, each unit consciousness should reach to liberation. In this case, liberate from the influence of Prakriti. Liberate from the influence of Prakriti means the Nirguna state. Because in the Saguna state is under the influence of Prakriti. In the Nirguna state, it's free from the influence of Prakriti. So Saguna Brahma wants every unit consciousness to reach to the Nirguna state. To reach to the Nirguna state, it has to transcend the influence of Prakriti. Now, who can liberate from bondage? Only one that is free from bondage can liberate from bondage. If one is not free, how can one liberate others? One can only liberate others if one is free. Is Saguna Brahma free or not? Here I will introduce one concept. The concept is the concept of Mukta Purusha. Purusha means consciousness. Mukta means free. What is Mukta Purusha? One who is free from the influence of Prakriti, but with the purpose of liberating others. That one chooses to come under the influence of Prakriti for a certain period of time. And that is the Mukta Purusha. And the Mukta Purusha is the one that can liberate a unit consciousness from the influence of Prakriti, because Mukta Purusha is liberated, therefore has the capacity to liberate. But that Mukta Purusha has come under the influence of Prakriti for a certain period of time. The question here is, Saguna Brahma wants to liberate us from the influence of Prakriti. Is Saguna Brahma Mukta Purusha? Saguna Brahma must be a Mukta Purusha in order to liberate others. If Saguna Brahma is a Mukta Purusha and Saguna Brahma chose to come under the influence of Prakriti, so Saguna Brahma chose to come under the influence of Prakriti for a period of time. How long? The goal is to liberate each unit consciousness from the influence of Prakriti. How many unit consciousnesses? Infinite number. To liberate the infinite number takes infinite time. It's always going. Therefore, Saguna Brahma comes under the influence of Prakriti for infinite time to liberate its infinite unit consciousnesses. Another quotation here. The crude universe came into being, or the phase of creation which advances from subtle to crude. Okay? Subtle to crude is our universe. All the beings are created and it's moving. Each being more developed comes to human being towards the Brahma, the most subtle. So the universe is that phase of the creation which goes from the crudest to the subtle. And the other phase is from the subtle to the crude. So subtle to the crude reaches maximum crudeness, solid. Solid now can be divided. Now starts the universe moving again towards subtle. So the intention of creating that phase that goes from subtle to crude is to come to the solid point where it can divide in innumerable unit consciousness, and then each unit consciousness moving towards Brahma. And the desire of Saguna Brahma is to liberate each of its units. And that only happens when every unit consciousness attains Nirguna Brahma. Therefore, the desire of Saguna Brahma is to liberate everyone, to bring everyone to Nirguna Brahma. And Saguna Brahma is always wanting that and is doing everything for that. At this moment, let me put you a question. So my statement was that Saguna Brahma wants to liberate all its units and take everyone to liberation, and is doing everything for that. And the universe is being created for that. The question was, does it feel good to know that Saguna Brahma wants to liberate everyone? 38% of you said, I already knew that. 50% said, yes, it feels good. And 13% said, I'm not yet convinced. When we look at what's happening in the world and we see people are suffering and very few people are really into spirituality, and even some people who are into, let's say, religion, sometimes they are very dogmatic, and maybe that religion is helping or not, we don't know. But the philosophy that we are studying now is saying that, yes, the whole purpose of everything is to liberate us. And if we are moving towards liberation, if we are feeling every time more free, then that's great. And to know that gives us some assurance, some inspiration to keep on moving, knowing that everything that's happening is happening for a purpose and it's a positive thing, and it's to take us to this Nirguna Brahma. Moving ahead, consciousness in humans is a reflection on the mental plate. We are human beings, have our mind. Cosmic consciousness is reflecting on our mental plate, and that reflection is unit consciousness. If our mental plate is expanded, we expand the mental plate. What happens? Better reflection. consciousness gets more expressed in us as we expand our mental plate. The science of Tantra. Tan means to expand, Tra means to liberate. By expansion, it liberates. The more we reflect consciousness, the more we will feel liberated. The more we'll feel free. Therefore, the point here is expand, 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 expand to infinite, then it will be a full reflection of consciousness. How can we do that? First thing, we have to realize that we are in bondage. If we don't realize that, we'll never look for liberation. And that's what's happening to the majority of the people. The majority of the people are not looking for liberation because they haven't even realized that they are in bondage. The moment we realize, I'm in bondage, I want to be free, that's the first step. And second, we need to make an effort to obtain liberation. And this effort that we need to make has to be very precise. We have to follow a method. And what is this liberation? Liberation from bondage. What is the bondage? We have so many thoughts in our mind, so many things happening in our mind. But what we really want is infinite. Everything that is limiting our mind from being infinite, from being able to reflect consciousness fully, all that is my bondage. And I want to be free from that. If we notice, we have in us this desire to be free, to want more. We have the desire to be infinite. If there is a question in our mind, that's a bondage. We want the answer for it, remove that bondage. Maybe another question comes, again bondage. We want to remove it, again free from that. We are free from one question, comes another question. Free from the other one, comes another one. And like this, we want to be free from all these bondages. To be free from the influence of Prakriti, that's the liberation. As long as we are under the influence of Prakriti, we are under the spell of imagination, we are not completely free. Only when we reach that Nirguna Brahma, beyond the influence of Prakriti, then we'll be free. So that's the liberation. To attain that liberation, we need a method. Why we need a method? If we think of everything in the universe itself, because the universe is a creation of the cosmic mind. Therefore, it is working according to the cosmic mind way of working. And what is the way of working of the cosmic mind? Is the way of working of Prakriti, because Prakriti is the one that is making everything happen. So everything is working according to how Prakriti is doing it. So the universe follows a certain system. If we want to be free from this influence of Prakriti, we should also have a nice system how we get free gradually, in the same way that Prakriti gradually crudified, gradually increased its influence over Purusha. How can Purusha be free? By gradually decreasing the influence of Prakriti. Okay? So how Prakriti gradually increases its grip, increases its influence. First, the Sattva guna of Prakriti is working, then the Raja guna of Prakriti, then the Tama guna of Prakriti now reach the maximum influence. How can we remove the influence? We have first to work removing the influence of Tamaguna. Then we work removing the influence of Rajaguna. And then we work removing the influence of Sattva-guna. That's done in a very methodical way. How to get free from this Tamaguna of Prakriti. Simple things that we do in our practice. For example, what kind of food do we eat? We eat the food that has more sattva guna, sattvic food. Why? Because we want to remove the influence of tamaguna, we want to remove the influence of rajaguna. Therefore, in the practice, everything is done to reduce the influence of tamaguna, then everything to remove the influence of rajaguna, and then to remove the influence of sattva-guna, so that unit consciousness can be free from the influence of Prakriti. And this is done in a very methodical way. That process is called sadhana, or spiritual practice, spiritual effort. Saguna Brahma wants us to be free, to be liberated, to reach to Nirguna Brahma. To reach to Nirguna Brahma, we do sadhana, use that method, that practice. If somebody doesn't do sadhana, that somebody is not doing according to the desire, according to the wishes of Saguna Brahma. This is a quote. Those who do not perform sadhana for their mukti or emancipation, even though they were created for this purpose, go against the wishes of the Supreme Entity. Animals are moving according to the influence of Prakriti. When it comes to the human stage, that's the stage we can do sadhana to get out from this influence of Prakriti. If we don't do the sadhana, then there will be little difference between us and an animal, because animal is under the influence of Prakriti. We also under the influence of Prakriti. We are not doing sadhana, so we are not doing anything more. If we start doing sadhana, then yes, we are doing something to come out from that influence. Then we are truly human. So that's the dharma of the human, to move towards consciousness, to make an effort to move towards consciousness. Consciousness is infinite, so we are moving towards that infinite. Saguna Brahma. Saguna Brahma is the qualified supreme entity, is the supreme entity under the influence of Prakriti. Saguna Brahma is non-causal. There is no cause, no beginning, no end. It exists for eternity. Has always been there. It didn't start at a certain point. It do not finish at a certain point. The cosmic mind is the mind of Saguna Brahma. And Saguna Brahma sees the universe as something real because it is his chitta taking that shape. Therefore, the aham is thinking that whatever the chitta is taking shape is reality. So Saguna Brahma looks upon its thought projection as real. What is the Dharma of human beings? Attain the infinite. How to do that? Do sadhana. Through sadhana, become free. Free means mukta purusha. So do the sadhana to reach to the state of nirguna, which is liberated from the influence of prakriti. That's the dharma of a human being. What's the dharma of Saguna Brahma? The dharma of Saguna Brahma is to provide the opportunity to everyone to reach to Nirguna Brahma, to become a Mukta Purusha. So dharma of human being, to become Mukta Purusha. Dharma of Saguna Brahma, to make everyone become Mukta Purusha. There is another question here, that if Saguna Brahma is non-causal, this defies logic. Do we just accept it without proof? In the previous class, we logically came to the point that Purusha is non-causal. There is nothing causing Purusha. Humans, there is a cause. Cause of human, we saw, we came from the earth, this planet Earth. Before there was no human being. Now in the planet Earth, there are human beings. Where did we come from? We came from the earth. And the earth came from the sun came from the different factors. Aerial factor came from ethereal factor. Human beings then came from ethereal factor. Human beings have consciousness, therefore there is consciousness in the earth. If earth came from the sun, there should be consciousness in the sun. If the sun came from aerial factor, there is consciousness in aerial factor. If aerial factor came from ethereal factor, there is consciousness in ethereal factor. If ethereal factor came from the chitta, there is consciousness in chitta. If chitta came from aham, there is consciousness in aham. And if aham came from mahat, there is this consciousness is in mahat. This I is in mahat. But the I is in mahat. Where is the I from? The I is from consciousness. So the I was already in consciousness, then it came to mahat, and then it came to aham and to chitta. So the I exists before the mahat. So I is the consciousness. And where did the consciousness come from? The consciousness has always been there. It didn't come from anywhere. There was consciousness, and in consciousness there is prakriti. So if there is prakriti and purusha, consciousness and the operative principle, did one create the other? Let's see. If purusha creates prakriti, there must be the will in purusha to create prakriti. If there is the will in purusha, that part of purusha has the will, there must be a modification in the purusha. Who modifies purusha? Prakriti modifies purusha. If prakriti modifies purusha so that purusha will have the will, then prakriti is not the one that creates purusha. Purusha also doesn't create prakriti, because purusha is pure, infinite, formless. It doesn't even have the desire to create prakriti. The desire is created in Purusha by Prakriti. So Brahma is Purusha and Prakriti. Brahma has always been there. If there was no Brahma, you have to come to a point that there was a situation that there was nothing. Okay? And if you think there was a situation there was nothing, how something came from nothing? So there must have been something. Because if there was nothing and then something got created, where is it created from? It has to be created from something. So there must be something. So what is that something? That something is Brahma. So Brahma has always been there. There was no point that there was no Brahma. If there was no Brahma, means there was nothing. So if there was nothing, how something came? So we come to the point that there was always Brahma, and Brahma is non-causal. There is no cause for Brahma. It has always been there. When? Infinite time. When it will end? Infinite time. So there is some logic. We are following a logic thing. So there was Brahma. Brahma was always there. Now Brahma gets qualified. How? There is a qualifying quality in Brahma. It's like you get fire. You have fire, and now you put fire on something, it starts burning. So that quality of fire is in the fire. You cannot separate the quality of burning from fire. You cannot separate the quality of qualifying, which is Prakriti, from Purusha, which is consciousness. That quality is always there in Brahma. So there is Purusha, there is Prakriti. So that's the proof that Saguna Brahma is causeless. There is no cause, no beginning, no end. And what is Saguna Brahma's Dharma? Saguna Brahma's Dharma is to make everybody reach to the state of Mukta Purusha. And a quote, in fact, all the effort and trouble of the qualified supreme entity, which is Saguna Brahma, in creating this universe and the human beings in this universe is directed towards the purpose of emancipating every one of its units. So what's the purpose of this whole thing? The purpose is to emancipate everyone. So now Saguna Brahma, who is a Mukta Purusha, took the determination to come under the influence of Prakriti for a certain period of time so that it can liberate all its units. So every one of its units is moving towards liberation because Saguna Brahma wants it. And reaching to the point of human beings, now Saguna Brahma wants us to do sadhana so that we can get liberated and we can merge in Nirguna Brahma. So that's the purpose of everything. I will ask you some more questions here. The first question is this one. So the question was, which statement is wrong? And the first is, the universe is a thought projection of Saguna Brahma. This is correct. And everybody was right on this one. The second was, the universe appears real because it appears so to the cosmic mind. And that one is also correct, and everybody got it right. And the third one, Brahma is Satya, or truth. 20% of you said this is wrong, but this is correct. Brahma is Satya. Brahma is absolute truth, and Satya is absolute truth. The next one, The Chitta of Saguna Brahma takes the form of the universe. And that one is correct. Everybody got it right. And the last one, the universe is an illusion. 80% of you think this is wrong. And yes, it is wrong. The universe is not an illusion. The universe is a relative truth. So most of you got it right. I close this one. And I ask you a second one, just to refresh a little bit. This is the second one. So I can close it, and I can share the results. The same thing, which statement is wrong? The first statement is, there is an infinite number of unit consciousnesses. That's correct. There is an infinite number. 14% said it's wrong, but it is correct. Brahma is the multiplicity of all unit consciousness, and there are infinite unit consciousnesses. So Brahma is infinite also. The second, the purpose of Saguna Brahma is to liberate everyone. Correct. And everyone got it right. The next one is only a Mukta Purusha can liberate others. Correct. Only somebody who is liberated can liberate others. Somebody who is in bondage cannot liberate others. And all of you got it right. And the next one is the final liberation is to merge in Saguna Brahma. This is the wrong one, because the final liberation is when you get completely free from the influence of Prakriti. And Saguna Brahma is under the influence of Prakriti. So only Nirguna Brahma is free from the influence of Prakriti. And that's the final liberation, to reach to Nirguna. And then there is another. Realize that one is in bondage is essential for liberation. This statement is correct. 14% of you thought it was wrong, but it's not. Only when we realize that we are in bondage that we want liberation. So the first step is that realization, I'm in bondage. Most of the people in the world don't even think they are in bondage. They think they are free, they are doing a free life, they are doing what they want. But when they realize, wow, I'm really not free, then they will think, how can I be free? And now some time for questions. There were 3 questions during the presentation, and I have addressed them. The 3 questions were, what we do, our actions are also imagination of the cosmic mind. The other question was, what does liberation mean in this case? And the third question was, non-causal defies logic. Do we just accept it without proof? As a summary, the universe is a thought projection of the Saguna Brahma. The Chitta of Saguna Brahma is taking the shape of the universe. When the Chitta takes the shape, it appears real. Therefore, the universe appears real to Saguna Brahma, to the cosmic mind. The cosmic mind is thinking the universe. The Chitta is taking the shape. Cosmic mind is thinking it's real. The unit mind thinks it's real because the cosmic mind thinks it's real. What is real for cosmic mind becomes real for unit mind. So we think the universe is real. But it's just a thought projection of the cosmic mind. We want liberation. We want infinity. We want to be free. Saguna Brahma wants us to be free. And what is this freedom? Freedom from the influence of Prakriti. When can we reach the freedom from the influence of Prakriti? When we reach the state of Nirguna. How do we reach the state of Nirguna? We have to do sadhana. We have to do practice. We have to do a practice that can take us to the state of Nirguna. That's the sadhana. We were created as human beings so that we have the capacity to do sadhana. Animals don't have the capacity to do sadhana. Humans have the capacity to do sadhana. So why from animal human being was created? So that it can do sadhana. It is the dharma of the human being to do sadhana to attain Nirguna Brahma. And that was a summary of today's class. Thank you very much for participating, and namaskar.